Hey, Lee with LG Speed and Custom, and welcome to part 4 of Andrew Brittany's build. In this video, we're going to continue on with the front end, fit the front sheet metal, fit the wheels and tires, front bumper back on. In the back, we still got to fit the fuel cell. We've got to cut the box sides open because Andrew's got some big wide tires that he wants to put on the back, so we need to make room for those, as well as we still got to do the exhaust system on this. So I don't know if we'll get that all done in this video, but we're gonna make an attempt. So the first thing we're gonna do is bring the front sheet metal back in so that we can get some measurements for these upper control arms and notch the inner fenders to fit. So using this mount here and this mount here as reference points, we took some measurements here and transferred it onto here. So if we go from the center of this guy, 15 inches forward, and from the center of that guy, 10 inches back, puts us here. And then if we come up to this body line right here, we can make a nice clean cut. And that should give us enough room that you can, when you're sitting in the, if the fender's on and the wheel's off, you can still access this with your hand. There's enough room in here to get your hand in there, and there's enough room to get to these guys so that you can still do an alignment on it. So we'll cut those out now, and then we should be able to test fit this, and hopefully it fits. I've thrown these, somehow we ended up with some golf shirts, which is weird because none of us like golf at all. So we're gonna put those down there to protect the control arms. Tape these up out of the way. So let's lift this thing on now. Limbering up. All right, we're ready. That worked out great. We've got lots of clearance in here. We can get to all this. So we've gone ahead and bolted everything up. Jim's hooking all the wires back up. We can hook the radiator and stuff up. Front bumper can go back on. I just put the wheels and tires on. So Andrew took a little bit of a gamble. He ordered the wheels before we fit the front sheet metal, and just hope that they would fit, and I think it's gonna be close, but I think it's gonna be okay. The back wheels we did measure before ordering them, and we know they're not gonna fit, but that's okay because we knew that when we ordered them. We have, these are 10-inch wide wheels with I think an 11-inch tire. So they'll fit this way, but they won't fit this way. So what I've done is marked out the inside here, and we're gonna cut that out, and that way, hey, stop running. No running in the halls. We're gonna cut this out, and the wheels are gonna poke through probably about an inch or so, and then down the road, Andrew's going to do something for a little wheel tub, but for now, we're just gonna leave it, because we are on a budget with this build, so we can't go crazy. So while Jim's buttoning up the front there, I'm gonna cut these out. So to make this radius on here, I measured, originally I tied a string to the axle and then kind of like went like that, but it wasn't super accurate. So what I did was cut one out on my plasma table, or when I say cut one out, I cut out a wheel tub template. So I just laid that on the frame and traced it, or not on the frame, laid that on the box side and traced it out, and that way we have a perfect radius on both sides. I put a little center line on it too, so I know where the center of it is. So let's cut that out now. Here's your pro tip of the day. When you're trying to fit wide wheels on and you can't get the wheel past the fender, take your jack and jack one side of the rear end up so that it tilts like that. And as it tilts, this axle gets lower to the ground and it increases your opening. And then you can fit a fat, big tire through. So this tire, this is the side that we measured everything off of. And it fits just barely. It is, I can't quite get my fingers through there. Well, maybe a little bit in the middle. The other side, however, this fender, we realized this after we ordered the wheels, that this fender was damaged. It was pushed in. So I bumped it out a little bit already, but I'm gonna have to bump it out a little bit more because this tire is still hitting. It was kerchoinked really bad here and here, and this whole piece was pushed in. So we'll push it back out with the Porta Power. Well, I can slide my fingers through here now. We got lots of room. So I didn't actually use the Porta Power. I C-clamped a 2x4 to the outside edge here and then just rolled the inside up. Probably gonna do that on the other side. Because I mean, we could, you know, it clears on the other side, but we could have a little bit more clearance. I didn't film this on the other side because I wasn't sure if this was gonna work, and I hate to look like an idiot on TV. So now that I know it's gonna work, I'll do it on this side. You guys can see. First, we're gonna put some tape up here so that we don't scratch the patina, the lack of paint. Now we got a 2x4, and the reason we're gonna use a 2x4 rather than, oh, there's a brace missing on this side, rather than like a piece of steel or something, is because the 2x4 kind of absorbs the impact a little bit. It makes for less chance of it to stretch, because we don't want this to stretch. We just want to roll it over. Put our other clamp on this side. And the 2x4 is basically going to work as like a dolly. Come on, get in there. Yeah. Snug this guy up. And now we'll get some safety glasses, because when I did the other side, a bunch of stuff fell on me. Now I'm just going to take this hammer and roll that edge up. I'll show you the edge here. So we've got this whole edge here. This is probably close to an inch. And we're going to take that that's sitting like this and roll it up like that. And that should give us a lot of clearance. Okay, and that hammer gets heavy. There, that's just about flat. So we gained probably 3/4 of an inch. Let's see how the outside looks with our tape on here. This probably would not be super effective on something that had like fresh paint or nice paint, but on this old paint, can't even tell. Cool, man. We're sitting on the rear end now. Jack stands under the rear end, so all the weight is on it. And yeah, we got clearance now. Cool. I can't wait to get this thing on the ground and see what the final stance is going to look like. It's going to be low. Fuel cell time. Fuel cell time. Let's see what we got here. A lot of foam. Ooh. Okay, so we got to make this somehow fit in the back. There's our rear. Your fuel lines always go to the back so that when you accelerate and your fuel all sloshes to the back, you've got fuel. Or, I used to have a 58 Edsel, and I lowered it a lot, and I ended up ripping a hole in the gas tank. Well, I ripped a hole in the gas tank because I lowered it a lot, and my exhaust system was really janky, and one day the exhaust broke, and I kept driving, and then the exhaust like flung off and punched a hole in the tank. So I made a fuel tank, put it in there, and I put the filler, or the pickup at the front. I was driving up a hill, and I ran out of fuel. That was a long time ago. I was still learning things back then. So yeah, the fuel pickup always goes at the back. This can be, one can be a vent, one can be a return for like a fuel injection system. Not sure what this is. Fuel gauge, maybe. There's no instructions. Oh, what's this? Product disclaimer. Off-road product only. Causes cancer in California. Well, we're not in California, so I don't know what that's about. Andrew ordered the fuel tank, so I'll get in touch with him and see what that is, but I'm hoping this is for a fuel gauge. Okay, let's see how this thing fits in the truck. Well, that's annoying. This fuel cell that Andrew bought is about 2 inches too wide of fitting in between those cross members there. And it's a little bit low. Especially with how low this truck's gonna be now. I'd hate for Andrew to go over a speed bump and smack that. I don't know if it'd hit a speed bump, but I don't know, back into a parking curb or something. I'm not super comfortable with the fuel tank being the absolute lowest point on the truck. So, oh, I got this latched. Jim had an idea though about maybe notching this out, and then same on this side, notch it out to see if it will sit up in there. I don't really want to take these cross members out because this cross member is where our rear spring hangers are, so it's there for support to stop the rear back of the frame from flexing. And I mean, this one's obviously our shock mounts. So I'll measure and see how wide this is and if there's enough room. Like, I don't want to take this right out, but I'd be comfortable with notching, you know, this little inside piece. I think that would be fine. So another option could be to scooch that forward a little bit and then cut a little L shape out of the fuel cell. Cut that piece out, reverse it, weld it back in, and then it would clear that as well. But I think notching our cross members would be less work. So our fuel cell measures, I believe, 18 inches. Yeah, it's 18 inches exactly. And our cross member is, from inside to inside, is 20 1/4. We'll call it 20 because there's these little rivets right here. So if it's 20, that means we need 2 inches. And I think our inside piece here is almost 2.5. So this notch or cross member here, if we notch 2 inches in on the bottom, this will be able to come up 3.5 inches, 3 inches back here. It'll be able to come up a lot. I think that's the way to go. Good idea, Jim. Yeah.
Good idea.
All right, so underneath, I have marked out our fuel cell's 20 inches wide. So I found the center, went 10 inches out, 10 inches out, and we know our fuel cell is 18 inches deep. So I went from this lip right here forward to 18.5. That way we've got some wiggle room when we're fitting it up in there. So that leaves us still a 1/2 inch lip on here. So this will stay, I mean, obviously it's not going to be as strong as it was, but for what Andrew's doing with this truck, I'm confident it will still be plenty strong. So we'll zip that out along there, and then it should go boop, inside. Wow, look how far up that goes. Cool. All right, oh no, our jack's falling over. Let's lift this up into place. You know, I could probably just lift this up there. I don't think I need the jack. It's not heavy at all. Okay. Oh gosh. Well, that was embarrassing. Watch your toes. Okay, that's as high as my jack goes. Oh, yeah.
Sure you pinch your wires in there.
Are the wires pinched?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's considerably better. All right, we're flush with the top of that cross member and just about flush with the bottom of this. I got it held up with a ratchet strap right now, and that is a lot better. It's gone up considerably. I'm happy with that. I don't think it will be a concern of bottoming out or getting snagged on anything anymore. So now we can build some mounts, because these mounts that it came with aren't going to work anymore. And they're also designed for this to be bolted down. They're not designed for it to be hanging from. So we'll design some new mounts to secure this thing in there. But that'll be a Monday job, because it is the end of the day and it's the weekend now. It's Monday morning. Actually, it's Monday afternoon now. Jim and I are building some gas tank brackets. This piece here is gonna sit down there like that and then bolt to the frame up here. We've got another piece that's gonna connect the bottom to to the bottom over on that side, and then there's brackets that come up the back side that Jim is working on over there. Jim's got this all bolted in here now. Here's those hangers I was showing you earlier that bolt to the frame and come down to the tab. And then if we go underneath here, I've cut out some straps that go from this tab all the way over to this tab. And this is kind of just going to simulate like a gas tank strap that a regular gas tank would have. So as it's hanging, these can't pull apart like I was worried about because they are tied to each other like that. So that should be fine. And then at the back here, same thing. We just go from the little tab up to the frame. That tank is nice and secure, not going anywhere. When Andrew brought us this kit, it came with a fuel hose kit as well and a whole bunch of AN fittings, as we can see over here, and some fuel hose. So that's what Jim's gonna hook up next. There's 4 ports on this tank, 2 down here, 1 up there, and 1 over there. So we've capped this one off. We've capped this one off. From here, we have a -10 to -6 reducer. And then we're gonna go from a -6, 90 degree, if I can get that back on. And then the fuel hose will run along here, up to the frame, follow the frame all the way to the fuel pump up front. This one over here, same thing. We did a -10 to -6 reducer. And then we're gonna have a 90 degree with a hose coming down, and that is gonna be our vent. The reason you want it to come down and extend past the tank is in case of a rollover, the fuel doesn't all spill out. We're gonna leave this filler cap for now. Originally, we were gonna have one coming up to here so that when Andrew drops the tailgate, he can fill it, because obviously we're gonna have a raised floor in this, but our budget says that's a project for another day. We're just gonna leave it like that for now. And this, I confirmed with Andrew, is a sending unit for the fuel gauge. So Andrew's gonna wire that up on his own, because once again, we're getting close to the end of our budget on this build. So on Gordy's car, when we put the Arden in, we did a similar kind of fuel hose as this. This is nylon braided on the outside, but steel braided. You can barely see it, but there's steel braids in there. This stuff is fine to run from the tank all the way to the engine. Regular fuel hose, they recommend a bare minimum, like just rubber fuel hose. I try to keep it like under 12 inches throughout an entire car. So I use a lot of steel line, but this stuff you don't have to worry about that because it's got the steel braiding in it. So our AN fittings, how they attach is when you get them, they come like this. You unthread them, and that gives you 2 pieces. 1 piece like this, and 1 piece like this. You take this piece here, and, this isn't the right size. Oh, never mind. I'm doing it backwards. And you thread that on there, or push it on. This one is very, very stiff for some reason. Normally they slide right in there. Okay, well that one was a struggle, but we got it in there. So you want to thread that in, or push it in until you can see the hose is bottomed out at the end. Then you take your other piece here, put a little bit of grease on there. Not that much, that's way too much. And then that just threads in. We'll put it in our AN jaws. Thread that guy all the way in. Okay, that's snugged up. So now we can pull it out. Bam. AN fitting. Fuel line's all finished up. We got our vent over here. And then we've got this guy nice and secure all the way to the front. Up front in the engine bay, we just replaced the nipple, or the barbed fitting that used to be on the fuel pump with a 1/8 inch pipe thread to -6 fitting. So our fuel hose just goes right in. Fuel system's done. Jim just ran to the gas station to fill up a jerry can. We'll fill this thing up and see if it leaks. I don't think it will though. Why would it? So moving on to the exhaust system here. This is the old exhaust that came off Andrew's truck. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. He just wants a different style. He's got some Flowmaster mufflers to replace. These are Dynomax mufflers. And he doesn't want the tailpipes coming out behind the wheel anymore. He wants them to come out in front of the wheel. So I'm hoping that we can potentially reuse most of this. I think before I drag all this back inside, I'm going to bust this apart right here and just bring the front half in. Obviously this needs to be changed because that was set up for the ram's horns, and we have headers now which come out about here and on a bit of an angle. So I don't know how it's going to lay out yet. We're just going to wing it. So I've got the first pipe kind of in here now. I cut the front off and then just put a little wedged piece, triangle piece in there to connect our header pipe to the actual pipe itself. Other than that, everything went good until we came to here. This transmission cross member that I dropped down. So I had to obviously drop the pipe down. You can't really see it because the lighting isn't great under here, but we got about a 1/4 inch play under there, 1/4 inch of, you know, if my finger was a 1/4 inch thick, it would fit through there. But when I did that, it took this pipe back here and it was going downhill. So I put a little pie cut in here and that bent that back up to where it is going the right direction. So I chopped it off there. Now we can mount our muffler here. And then we just need to turn on a 45. And Andrew just wants the pipes to come out like right there underneath the running board here. So that should be easy enough. Now, do I want to keep going on this side? Or do I want to start on the other side? I'll probably keep going on this side. And then I can like match the other side to this side. I've got the muffler mocked up on here. I've had to turn it on a little bit of an angle instead of having it flat. And the reason for that is because when it's flat, it's going to hit the frame rail right here. The mufflers that used to be on here had the inlet on the side, and these ones have the inlet in the center. So it moves the muffler over a bit. But having it just turned on the side like that gives us some good clearance in there. So I think we'll be okay. I'm out at the old tailpipes here, and I'm wondering if this tailpipe here, if I cut this off right there and have that come out of the muffler, if that is going to line up okay with our running board there. I might take a piece of welding rod and make that shape and then mock it up on the truck and see. All right, we got our little welding rod template here. Let's go try it. Not even close. That's gonna put, with that sitting about where it's gotta be, that tailpipe's gonna be going right into the backing plate. So I have to come up with a plan B. I rebent this piece to fit the actual contour of what I need under the truck and brought it back out here. And this over the axle piece is the right bend that we need. So I think I'm gonna chop it off there and chop it off there and see how it fits. All right, let's see how this thing fits. Well, we're in the ballpark now. I think we gotta trim a couple inches off of here to slide this further in, which will bring this further forward. And maybe the amount we cut off there, if we weld on this end, will bring it that much further out. Well, that worked pretty good. I shortened this up 4 inches. And then I had a long trunk from, actually, this is the original tailpipe that used to poke out the back. I just tack welded it on there. And it sticks out, I think, a little bit too far. It's sticking out like 8 inches. So probably going to trim that down. Then I'll fully weld this on the bench after I've cut this. And then we can weld this together and maybe put a hanger somewhere. We got a bolt right here. We might be able to do a hanger to there. And then this side, I think we'll be done. All right, probably about like that. Yeah. And if Andrew doesn't like the way this looks, you can always like put a tip over it or something. All right, there is one side done. Now the hard part, making the other side symmetrical. The passenger side I've got bolted up using our original bolt or hanger, just like I did on this side. And you can see up front here where it used to go and where it's gotta go. So I think we'll probably tackle this about the same as I did the other side. Cut it off somewhere around here. Bring this up and then just build a little filler piece in there. Second side done. It is totally symmetrical from the muffler's back. This pipe is totally different than that pipe, so obviously they're not symmetrical. Whoever previously bent this bent them different, which is fine. We still made it work. This worked out really nice. I found a bend in one of the old tailpipes that was just perfect for that. So we spliced a little bend in there. This is as is from the previous exhaust system. Got our muffler in on a little bit of an angle, just like the other side. And then our tailpipes are the same with a little hanger there. So we completely salvaged and repurposed Andrew's original exhaust system, except for with headers and Flowmaster mufflers. Here's the leftovers. Jim is so stoked to put those mufflers on his van. Dynamax. And yeah, I don't know, the rest will probably just go in the scrap bin. Well, let's fire it up, see what it sounds like. Just filled the power steering full, so now we can bleed the system, which is just going lock to lock, back and forth a few times. The brake lights are staying on, so I think we got to put a return spring on the brake pedal. So if you pull up on the pedal, the brake lights go out. So for our return spring, we're gonna run a spring from here up to this hole up here. Ow, that's hot. That's very hot. So I got a spring in the bolt bin. The one end's a little bit curly-cued, but that'll be all right. And I just cut this little tab out on the plasma table. I already had a cut file for that, so that was just took a couple moments. So I'm gonna take this nut off, put this tab on here, which will allow the spring to attach to the brake pedal, and then we'll have to build another tab up to that hole up there. It's really hot. Well, that ought to do it. We've got good return now. Shuts the brake lights off every time. Return spring is done. I went and snugged up all the header collectors one more time now that they've had a chance to heat up and cool down again. Give them a chance to like seat or whatever they got to do. I think we're ready to put this thing on the ground. We need to go for a road test. It sits really low. Our jack is stuck. There it is on the ground. So at the coilovers, they're currently set at the lowest lowest position. So it can go up a little bit from here. I think our exhaust, where it goes underneath the transmission cross member, it's probably gonna tickle some speed bumps at this height. Like it's really low, ridiculously low. Awesome low. But I don't know, we can we'll try it out and then maybe address that later. Brake lights are on?
Yep.
Are they on?
Yep.
Steer's really nice. Ride's a little on the rough side. We might have to raise those coilovers a little bit. Well, we'll let Andrew decide on that. I could probably live with it. That was a pretty good shakedown run. There's really nothing that jumped in my head that needed to be addressed. It settled even more in the front. Look at that. That's so fucking low. So we were at 29.5 before, and we're down to like almost 22.5. So what is that? What's 29 to 23 would be 6. So like almost 7-inch drop. And it was already lowered a little bit in the front.
So through the line.
The back was at 29, and it is at 22.5, so 6.5-inch drop in the back. Is that right math? Yeah. Yeah, that's the correct math. So yeah, 7-inch drop in the front, 6.5-inch drop in the back. Rad. Gonna jack it back up, give the front end a once over, and we actually are gonna crank the coilovers down a little bit. I just drove up on 2x4s here so we can get the jack under. But with the coilovers where they are right now, the reason why it was riding so rough is because they're bottomed right out. They have zero travel at all. So we'll raise them up 1.5 inches. We'll try that. Coilovers are raised up to give us a little bit more ride height. We're going to set it back down on the ground now and then go for another road test. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the build on Andrew Brittany's 56 Chevy pickup. Did 4-wheel disc brakes, 8.8 rear end, big C-notch in the back, IFS front suspension with power steering and coilovers, rack and pinion, power brake booster. What else did we do to this thing? Put mirrors on it. Jim put some seat belts in the back. Not in the back, just in the cab. So it's got seat belts in it now and a couple other little things. So Andrew's on his way down right now to pick it up. And it was great timing because several months before we started this, he booked it in to have a photo shoot done with some models, some pinup models, and that's tomorrow. So he's coming down to get it today. We finished it just in the nick of time. Oh, exhaust. We did exhaust on it as well. And the fuel system. Did a lot of stuff to this truck. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. As always, make sure to check out lgspeedcustom.com if you want any LG Speed and custom merch. We got t-shirts, stickers, hot rod parts, all that stuff. And I'm sure we'll probably do some stuff on this truck in the future, but I think for now, the rest of the summer, Andrew is just gonna enjoy it. So, still got to get a wheel alignment done. We don't do the wheel alignment here. It's going to go to an actual front end shop to get the alignment done. Andrew might screw around with the coilovers a little bit more. He's an autocross and track guy, so he's setting up suspensions and coilovers and stuff is kind of his forte, so he can take care of that. And yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on another video. Bye, Andrew. I guess it's air conditioning time on the Fairlane.